All right, Didrik. Looks like we're live. Welcome to this Crystallize live stream. Today we're going to show you something new. Something has been brewing in the product team here at Crystallize. My name is Bård, and if I haven't already introduced you, Didrik, head of design at Crystallize. Let's look at a new tool that we are going to very soon release called Crystallize Spark. This is AI-powered skills that will be available to a tenant near you in about a week's time. But let's just jump right into it, Didrik. And if you want to start with just a brief overview of what Spark is.
Let's do it. Here we go. So yeah, a brief overview is that internally we are also creating skills to use in combination with AI that you can of course also install. During this process, we also figured, okay, you know what? This is actually a great tooling for getting started with Crystallize. So here you can see it's a dashboard where you have different types of call it assistants. Today we're going to show one of them because that's the one which is most complete currently. So what we're doing, we're basically training different models to understand what Crystallize is all about.
And what we're going to dive into is the data modeling or content modeling, right? And what we've done here, as you said, is we've taken all of our documentation, all of our schemas, all of our API endpoints, all of our best practice examples, also all of our live streams where we go through data modeling and how to use Crystallize. And we've also included a lot of our blogs, which are, again, also iterating on the same topic. So that's what we've been using to train this tool. And goal is that it should simply generate a data model for you and deploy it to a Crystallize tenant. That's the goal of this first skill, and we'll get back to the other skills. But let's just kick it off, Didrik.
Let's start with the first one. So this is the content modeling assistant, where you can describe what you want in natural languages, explaining, okay, well, let's just start with the first one, maybe.
Yeah, do that.
Let's say that we want a bookstore. We have some summaries here that we pre-made for this live stream as well. So here we want a bookstore with blog, reviews, author interviews, want to be able to merchandise categories, banners, product sliders, and USBs, and also describing the author and their role in a book. So running that, while we wait for this to run, takes about 40 seconds. Let's initiate another, just so we have two different to look at. For this, you want plants or you want electronic storyboard?
I want plants.
You want plants.
Yeah.
And once again, short description on what I want to sell online and what the content model should include. Let's see. And here we can actually see the first one has already done some work. So let's try to deduct what it actually did. So this is often a process that we are involved with, how to set up all your models and shapes and pieces in a Crystallize tenant. Because we do believe that every story is different when selling stuff online. Hence, it's really flexible how we can model different commerce stores.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, you can see that, okay, we started out with the product, which is the book.
Could you make a little bit more space on screen?
Yeah, I can also make some more space on the screen board, so we can take a look at what we really want. And that is the content model. So here we use a lot of the different patterns that we talked about before as well in different live stream sessions.
Yep.
So here we can see we are using classification patterns, which basically says, okay, for this book, we have an author, but what's the contributor? What's his role on this book? Because you can always have different persons having different roles. Same book can even have okay, some of it is audiobooks, so who is the narrator? Who is telling the story?
And here I think it's a good example of the pattern, because you have this composite classification bridge, as we call it, where you specify the role. But here the name of the shape is author. Maybe we would have called it contributor instead. So these are kind of tunings that you can also do after the fact when you have a model. But yeah, let's look at the rest of the model.
Let's just take a brief overview. So we also told it we want some marketing content. Hence, we have a piece with the product slider. This is basically page builder, and you can also see that all of these lines is representing item relations. So in the featured products item relation on a product slider, you can add books. Same with the blog post. You talk about a book. So the featured book is related to the book, of course. But there you can also see we are reusing the author interviewer, and give it some context in a different setting, basically a blog. And once again, more marketing content for what we call the page building pattern.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that looked well. And
yeah, I think the only thing I would change here really is just the name author. I would call it contributor instead. Other than that, it's a pretty good model on the one shot, I would say. So it's been trained well, Didrik.
Hopefully. Use the name contributor. Probably did some spelling mistakes here.
Yeah.
But also, if you're keen on it, you can also see what the processing or the reasoning behind the choices is during the thinking process. Let's see where that goes. Let's just take a quick one on now what did we select? The plant storyboard.
Yep.
This is a simpler model, as you can see. I'm just gonna reorganize this a bit so it's better to see. But once again, it uses a lot of the same patterns and the right components for the different information that you want on a plant. Like here we have water frequency.
I think it's important also to say here that we haven't really specified all of these things, so it does a best guess, right? And of course, you can provide a more comprehensive prompt to get more specifically the data model you want. But it's a fantastic start to also get some inspiration, as it's trained on the common patterns for both relations and reuse, and how to use pieces, how to manage marketing content. So. Just the inspiration of kicking off a model, it's fantastic already.
It is, and you can also see that based on your request, it's going to ask you some questions to improve your model, or if you want to extend it. And it can become quite large, as we've seen in some examples, depending on how much you work with it. Of course, it's some flaws, like here, I would rather call it a blog rather than a blog post. So it's too verbose in its naming sometimes, but that's stuff we are working on. So we're still working with it to get it even better than it is today.
But all in all, that's a pretty good model. But also sometimes, and here you see that the contributor is updated, as we did on the prompt on this model. But a common scenario for me is that I get from a client, okay, this is an example of our data. I get it very often in a spreadsheet or a JSON file. What if you have that kind of starting point?
I'm so glad you asked for it. So what we can also do is here on the other screen, I'm fetching a Excel sheet.
So you're just dropping in a spreadsheet?
I'm just dropping in a spreadsheet. So the model will then take that into consideration, see what we can create from a model. So as you can see, this is instruments. You play guitar, so it's probably guitar's board. But you can run it and see what we get. While we wait for that to run, we can also see a bit on the left side here. We talked about the questions, but what you also get is a ready-made operations file for importing if you want to create the shapes directly in a tenant. I won't do that now.
And this is, you can of course create it, or you can download it and keep it as part of your repository, because that's typically how you work with shapes, is that you have the definition and you have it in your GitHub repo so that you can spin up different tenants with the same data model. So here you can choose either download it or deploy directly to tenant. You do you.
Yeah. Then, of course, yes, here we got the spreadsheet that we added. So what we can see that we got from here is that, okay, we got an instrument. Let me give you some more spacing here. Instrument, yep. Of course, once again, with a classification bridge calling brand, because you had different types of instruments with different brands.
Yep.
And some location level. Yeah, that we would probably do differently, but
yeah, this is that's a good example of where it went wrong, because it was in this data file, it was like 3 levels of categories as 3 columns, and it depends on how you get the hierarchy in. Sometimes you have a path, you have to, it's usually part of a data analysis job when you're going to create a model, but also in the next step where you are going to import the data. So but this is a good example, and you can just tell him what's wrong. I also like self-referencing there that you see on the instrument. Hey, you fixed
there
it.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah, so also self-referencing that, okay, this instrument can have related instruments, basically. That's what we're saying here.
Yeah. And of course, now it's a one-shot, or in this case, we had the 2 prompts. And of course, you can continue the dialogue and extend it and experiment with different models. It is already super valuable. We see that we have saved a lot of time just in the last weeks when we've been playing with this. And what's even further more interesting to say is that, okay, now we have a data model, but the goal of this Spark tool is essentially, if you go to the dashboard, just to do a very quick advertisement for the next live stream we will do next Thursday, then we'll talk about how you can populate your data. So things like information architecture, taxonomies, and also a little bit on how you can populate your product catalog. A hint, we will probably be using the same spreadsheet as we used for the data model to also show how you can import data. And then the final goal here is to stitch together both the data model with the data and the structure with a storefront. So instead of having an accelerator, it will be a generated storefront with a fully customized data model, with a full round trip of shopping experience, cart, placing order, and you will be able to download this or push that to your Git repo. And that's a good starting point for either a proof of concept or starting an actual Crystallize project. So this is the goal of Crystallize Spark. If you want to be notified about our next stream, will be next Thursday, same time, where we will do the next demo on this. You know what to do. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.
Perfect.